Have you ever waited for someone so long that even the sound of footsteps started breaking your heart? If you have, then stay with me until the end of this story. And before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this are not just entertainment, sometimes they heal parts of us we never talk about. The rain had been falling over the city since morning, turning the old railway station into a world of wet concrete, foggy windows, and tired faces. People rushed past each other carrying bags, dreams, regrets, and unfinished goodbyes. Announcements echoed through rusty speakers while trains came and went like chapters of lives nobody would ever fully understand. At platform number 6 sat a man in an expensive black coat, staring silently at the railway tracks as if the next train would bring back his soul. No one recognized him there. No one knew that the man sitting alone on that cold bench was Arav Malhotra, one of the youngest CEOs in the country. Owner of a billion-dollar company. Featured in magazines. Admired by millions. Envied by everyone. Yet at that moment, he looked like the loneliest person alive. His eyes were tired, not the kind of tiredness sleep could fix. It was the exhaustion of someone who had spent years pretending to be strong. Beside him sat an old leather suitcase. Inside it were documents for a business meeting he no longer cared about. And in his coat pocket, a faded train ticket from 12 years ago. He rubbed his thumb across it carefully like it was something sacred. That was when he heard a soft voice beside him. Are you waiting for someone who's never coming back, too? Arav turned slightly. Standing near the bench was a girl around 22 years old, holding a paper cup of tea. Her hair was wet from the rain, and her oversized sweater looked too thin for the cold weather. But her eyes carried the same sadness he saw in mirrors. He frowned slightly. What? The girl gave a small smile and sat at the opposite end of the bench without asking permission. I asked if you're waiting for someone who's never coming back. For a moment, Arav almost ignored her. People usually approached him because they wanted something. Money, connections, attention. But this girl looked different. She wasn't impressed by him. In fact, she didn't even know who he was. That's a strange question, he said quietly. So is sitting at a train station for 3 hours without boarding a train. Arav looked at her carefully. You've been watching me, she nodded while sipping tea. You look like someone carrying too much silence. That sentence hit him harder than he expected. For the first time in years, someone had seen through him without effort. The girl extended her hand slightly. My name is Mira, Arav. Nice to meet you. Arav, who looks heartbroken. He almost smiled. Almost. The loud sound of an arriving train filled the station, but neither of them moved. Mira looked at the passengers reuniting with loved ones. Some hugged, some cried, some laughed loudly, others said painful goodbyes. Then she whispered, train stations are strange places, aren't they? How? Everyone arrives somewhere, while someone else gets left behind. Arav stared at her. There was wisdom in her sadness. The kind that only comes from surviving pain. Who are you waiting for? He asked after a long silence. Mira looked down at her teacup. My father. Arav waited. He promised he'd come back one day. And it's been 10 years. The rain intensified outside. Mira smiled weakly, but her eyes betrayed her. He left to work in another city when I was 12. At first he called every week. Then every month. Then, one day, nothing. I'm sorry. Don't be. People leave. That's what they do best. Her voice sounded calm, but Arav could hear the wound beneath it. And yet you still come here. Every Friday. Why? Because hope is a dangerous habit. That sentence stayed between them like a confession. Arav leaned back slowly. For years, he had buried his own pain beneath meetings, contracts, success, and endless work. But sitting beside this stranger at a train station made something inside him crack open. He finally spoke. 12 years ago, I was supposed to leave this city with someone. Mira turned toward him fully. Her name was Shah. Even saying her name after so many years made his chest tighten. We grew up together. We were young, stupid, and completely in love. What happened? My family was poor back then. I had nothing. No future. No status. But I promised her I'd build a life for us. And did you? Yes. Then where is she? Arav looked toward the empty railway tracks. She died before I could come back. The station suddenly felt quieter. Mira's expression softened. How? Car accident. His voice almost broke. She was coming to meet me at this station. I was late because of an investor meeting. She kept waiting, then decided to take a taxi home. He swallowed hard. The taxi never reached home. For the first time in years, Arav said those words aloud. And somehow, speaking them hurt even more. I became successful after that, he continued quietly. Everyone called me inspiring, self-made, powerful. He laughed bitterly, but none of it mattered. Mira didn't interrupt him. Do you know what the worst part is? He whispered. What? She waited for me till the very end. His eyes filled with tears he had spent 12 years hiding. And I wasn't there. The announcement of another departing train echoed through the station. Mira stared at him silently before asking, so every year you come back here? He nodded. On the same date. Why? Because part of me still thinks if I wait long enough, maybe life will undo itself. Mira looked down slowly. That's impossible. I know. But you still wait. Yes. For a while, neither of them spoke. Two strangers connected by absence. Two hearts trapped in moments that refused to let go. Then Mira suddenly stood up. Come with me. What? Just come. Before Arav could protest, she walked toward the tea stall near the edge of the platform. Confused, he followed her. The old tea seller smiled warmly at Mira. You're late today. She grinned. Got distracted. Then she turned to Arav. This uncle lost his son 5 years ago. The old man's smile faded gently. He used to help me here after school, he said quietly. What happened? Arav asked. Fever. We couldn't afford treatment. A heavy silence followed, but the old man continued serving tea with calm acceptance. After they walked away, Mira spoke softly. See him? Yes. He still smiles. Arav frowned slightly. What's your point? My point is, pain doesn't disappear. People just learn how to carry it differently. Those words unsettled him. Because for 12 years, he had carried grief like punishment. As if being miserable was the only way to prove his love was real. The rain finally stopped near evening. The station lights flickered on one by one. Passengers became fewer. The world slowed down. Mira sat on the edge of the platform, swinging her feet slightly. You know, she said, I used to hate my father. Arav sat beside her. But then one day I realized something. What? If I spent my whole life waiting for someone who abandoned me, then he would steal my future too. Arav stared ahead, quietly. I don't want to waste my life anymore, she continued. So why are you still here every Friday? Mira smiled sadly. Because healing isn't immediate. That answer hit him deeply. Healing isn't immediate. For years, Arav thought moving on meant forgetting. But maybe it simply meant learning to breathe again. Hours passed. They talked about childhood memories, regrets, dreams they abandoned, fears they never confessed to anyone else. And slowly, for the first time in years, Arav laughed. A real laugh. Not the fake polished smile he gave reporters and shareholders. A human laugh. By midnight, the station was almost empty. Mira checked the old clock above the platform. I should go. A strange panic rose inside Arav unexpectedly. When will I see you again? She smiled lightly. Maybe next Friday. Maybe. Life likes uncertainty. She began walking away, then suddenly stopped. Without turning back, she asked one final question. If Shah were alive, would she want you to spend the rest of your life suffering? Arav froze. The question pierced straight through him. Because deep down, he already knew the answer. No, he whispered. Mira finally turned around. Then maybe it's time you stopped punishing yourself for surviving. And with that, she disappeared into the crowd. Arav stood there long after she was gone. Something inside him had changed. Not healed, but awakened. The next Friday, Arav returned to the station. But Mira wasn't there. Neither the next week, nor the week after that. Still, he kept coming. This time not because he was trapped in the past, but because he hoped the girl who understood his pain would return. 3 months later, he finally asked the tea seller about her. The old man looked confused. Which girl? The girl who comes every Friday. Mira. The tea seller frowned slowly. Son, nobody named Mira comes here. A chill ran through Arav's body. She sits near platform 6. No, she talks to you. The old man shook his head gently. I think you're mistaken. Arif's heart began racing. That night, he searched everywhere in the station. He asked guards, vendors, workers. Nobody knew her. Nobody had seen her. Then finally, an elderly station cleaner paused after hearing the description. The girl with the gray sweater. Yes, the woman's face changed slightly. She used to come years ago. Arif felt his breath stop. Years ago. The cleaner nodded sadly. She died. The world around him blurred. What? Train accident. About 4 years ago. Arif couldn't move. She waited for her father every Friday, the woman whispered. Poor child. Silence swallowed everything. His hands trembled violently. No, that's impossible. But deep down, he knew. The rain, the sadness in her eyes, the strange way she understood him, the way nobody noticed her. Tears filled his eyes, not from fear, but from realization. Some people enter our lives not to stay forever, but to save us. That night, Arif sat alone on platform 6 again. But this time he wasn't broken. For the first time in 12 years, he finally let Shah go. Not because he stopped loving her, but because love should never become a prison. Months later, Arif shut down one of his luxury projects and used the money to build free shelters and education centers for abandoned children across the country. He named the foundation after 2 people, Shah and Mira Foundation. Every Friday evening, he still visited the station sometimes. Not to wait anymore, but to remember, to smile, to thank the souls who taught him that grief and love can exist together, and that surviving pain is not betrayal. Years later, an interviewer once asked him, during a television interview, what changed your life? Arif smiled quietly before answering. A girl at a train station asked me one question. What question? He looked directly into the camera. Are you waiting for someone who's never coming back, too? And somewhere beyond the noise of the world, it felt like 2 lost souls finally found peace. If this story touched your heart even a little, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Because sometimes, the people we lose never truly leave us. They become the reason we learn how to live again.